Mr. Linsley, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So I'm very excited to talk about all this. This is a lot of very important information, especially as our population continues to age. But before we delve into all the particulars, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, some of your schooling?
I'm a native San Diegan. Went to San Diego State. Initially, I thought I was going to go in the field of psychology, and then did my master's work there. And through some of the volunteering I was doing, I decided eventually I would better serve what I wanted to be accomplishing as an attorney than as a psychologist. Or maybe I just went to law school to avoid doing my master's thesis. I don't know. But I went to USD School of Law and graduated in 1980, and have been practicing in this field ever since.
You just switched because you wanted to give them some more of your money.
Well, they got that too.
Now, you have an extremely impressive and actually quite long list of credentials. I'm not going to go over them all because we only have an hour, but I want to touch on a few that are very important. Now, you are one of only 2 certified elder law attorneys in San Diego County, and we're going to come back to that in a couple minutes. You are also a State Bar of California certified legal specialist in estate planning, trust, and probate law, and an accredited Veterans Administration attorney. You've also been rated AV preeminent by Martindale Hubbard as a super lawyer, both based on peer reviews. And your practice focuses on Medi-Cal, VA, and asset protection planning, special needs planning, and estate planning, conservatorships, disability planning, life care planning, probate and estate administration, and special needs trust. Now again, being that you are one of only 2 certified elder law attorneys in San Diego, what does that mean, and how does that set you apart from your competition?
Well, the elder law certification is, of all the things you said, I think the one that means the most to me. It kind of goes back to the problem, Elizabeth, that any of us have when we're trying to reach out for help in a field that we don't know, whether it's trades, plumbing, or whether you need a orthopedic surgeon. I mean, how do we pick the right person? And as they say, 10% of the doctors out there graduated in the bottom 10% of their class, and that's not the ones we probably want. Same with lawyers. In the field of law, as far as the state bar is concerned, anybody can ethically call themselves an elder law attorney. I could call myself a bankruptcy attorney ethically, and I've never done a bankruptcy in my life. As far as the bar is concerned, all they want to make sure is that if I do take one on, that I don't foul it up. And even then, I suppose they're only concerned if I foul it up, somebody realizes I did and complains to them. And I know the people out there that call themselves elder law attorneys, and many of them know what they're doing, and some less so. So I think one of the important things for the consumer then, when they're looking at a professional field, is to look for specializations and accreditations. It's easier now than it used to be with social media, but social media usually just tells us how somebody's social skills and how polite and responsive they are, and may not tell us how good they are and how much they know. That's still tough. So again, I think the smart consumer looks for specializations. The elder law specialization was not an easy one, and is not an easy one. You have to show substantial experience in the field, substantial focus in the field, quite a breadth of knowledge to pass the examinations that they have, which were pretty rigorous as well. So I'm very proud of to be able to call myself a certified elder law attorney, and I do think it distinguishes our office.
Absolutely. I mean, again, going back to there's only 2 in the entire county, I can definitely tell you that if I was looking for someone, I would want to be with one of the 2 that were certified and done by professionals and boards and administrations. Not just, are you nice, but are you going to be able to help me? So what are some of the most common issues you're seeing right now in your practice when you're helping elderly people?
Well, probably the most common matter we see, Elizabeth, is people in crisis where, let's say, for example, mom and dad have been at home. Dad maybe has a little bit of dementia. It's getting harder and harder for mom to care for him because she's no spring chicken either. An event finally happens, and mom's probably been trying to do this without adequate help for some time. something finally happens and Dad ends up in the hospital. After a short hospital stay, they're talking about discharging him to skilled nursing for some additional therapy, and it might be uncertain at that time if Dad really can come back home. Maybe, as I said, Mom may have been having trouble keeping all the balls juggled in the air before this. That's what we call a crisis, because what they'll find out if they're sent to skilled nursing, and they probably will be, that Medicare will only pay for a relatively short period of time. And after that, their challenge will be to private pay if he needs to stay there, or figure out whether or not they're eligible for any available assistance programs. And private paying could be $7,000 to $8,000 a month. Not many family budgets can handle that for long. So that is probably the most common scenario. Certainly there are many others. There are people who thankfully do come in ahead of time. Maybe they have an early diagnosis of Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or any condition that could be a long-term chronic one. And they look at things ahead of time and they say, well, is there anything we could be doing now? And that's great to have those people in. But I guess it's just a part of human nature that most of what we see is the former. It's that crisis call.
Right. And that's scary. That's really scary. And so a big part of what you do is helping people plan for those situations ahead of time.
Well, yes, but we also, again, there's a lot we can do in crisis as well. The long-term care Medi-Cal program can help an awful lot of people who don't realize that it can help them. They assume that this is some poverty-based program that they couldn't possibly qualify for. And the truth is very often very different. There's a lot of myths and misunderstanding about that program, and there are probably thousands of people in San Diego County every year who could qualify and just don't even bother applying because it doesn't occur to them that they could. So there are a lot of things we can do even in crisis, but would I prefer to see somebody a couple of years before the crisis to make sure I had all the tools in the toolbox ahead of time? You bet.
I bet your clients are very thankful when they do come to you in crisis mode and you help them discover programs and alternatives that exist that can relieve that financial burden that they had no idea was out there. So that's really a big part of what you do to help those families who are, again, going through a crisis.
Yes, that's exactly what we do. And it's very satisfying for us and my whole staff. I have a great staff, by the way. I just have to give them a shout out. And probably a few of them are even listening to this.
Oh, wonderful.
Because we all are very rewarded and very happy at what we're doing. And the people who come to us very often are at their wits' end and they are panicking. And the ability to take somebody in that state of mind and say, don't panic, we've got this, here's some of the things we can do, come on in and see us. Obviously they're very grateful. We have some great testimonials on our website, by the way.
I saw that.
And it's very rewarding for every one of us. I mean, I love what I do. I enjoy coming to work, and I think all of my staff does. So.
Well, and it's great also, a lot of times people don't understand that there are attorneys for a lot of different things, and there are attorneys who genuinely are just out there to help people. And you've been doing this since 1997. You've helped a lot of families, and you do have a lot of really excellent reviews on your site. If anybody wants to check those out, that's SanDiegoElderLaw.com, or if you want to get in touch with Mr. Linsley, it's 619-235-4357.
And actually, Elizabeth, I've been doing this since 1980. I just formed San Diego Elder Law Center in 1997 to help me focus a little more. Before that, my practice was a little broader. I did some healthcare law and some other things, but it was around 97 that I really decided, you know what, this is what I enjoy doing the most. This is all I'm going to do. I'm just going to focus on this. It was a great business choice as well as a great personal choice.
Yes, and thank you for correcting me. I meant to say you founded it in 97, but yes, you've been doing it since 80, and I'm sure that the things that you did in between that period of time actually helped you tremendously prepare for owning your own company and in just going out and helping many other families.
True. It's all been a journey. Except for the first 8 months of my career from 1980 on, I have been self-employed and building my own practice. It has changed forms. Part of that was just me learning what I was best at, what I should be doing, and what I wanted to be doing. And I would urge that for anybody, by the way, whatever business you're in. You will be better at it if you stop doing the things you don't like and focus on the things that you do like. I tell people often that there's one thing worse than no business, and it's bad business. And if you have business you don't enjoy doing and clients you don't enjoy working with, no, you need to do something about that. So that's part of what I did too, is throughout that learning process you mentioned, is just started finally making a commitment to do nothing but what I thought I was best at and enjoyed doing the most. And after I made that decision, my business, I won't say it started building itself, because, running a business is not easy, but it certainly started feeling a lot more that way.
Right. What you focus on expands, and what you're enjoying helps create a better energy and helps create the momentum and helps get happy clients coming back to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to read a statistic that I read when I was preparing for the show. In 2009, there were 39.6 million people in America qualified as elderly, representing 13% of the population. The statistic shows that by 2030, there will be 72.1 million persons in America over the age of 65, which will be approximately 19% of the population. It's a pretty sharp incline in a pretty short amount of time. Are we prepared to service the aging population?
Not entirely, no. And in addition to that, the length of life, of course, is growing too. I mean, average life expectancy at the turn of the last century was in the early 40s. So it's an awful lot of people out there listening to us right now that just wouldn't be here back then. So the length of our lives is both a blessing and a challenge, really. It's a blessing to us personally, particularly if we can hold on to our health. But it's a challenge to us individually, and it's a challenge to the entire healthcare system. We have a pretty good acute care healthcare system. And by that I mean if something happens to you, such as you break a leg or you have a heart attack, you don't really need to know a lot. You go to the hospital, and it's like stepping on an escalator. You will be kind of drawn through the system, and people will be telling you, now we do this, go down here, get this x-ray, we're running this test, here, lay down here, here's what you do. So that works out pretty well. I actually think we have a very good acute care system. Less so for chronic care. If somebody has a chronic condition, they will find out that it's not like stepping on a escalator. It's more like being deposited at the foot of a wilderness trail without a map. Your outcomes now will depend on how much you know or how much assistance you're getting from people who understand that area. So I think we have a lot more challenge in making a system that works well for people with chronic conditions. Case management is a big one. Advocacy is a big one. These are problems that we're trying to address in my practice all the time. How do you get people the care they're entitled to? How do you pay for it?
What exactly does case management mean?
Well, again, looking at somebody who has a chronic condition, let's just pick Alzheimer's, for example. Their outcomes are going to be better if there's somebody that understands their condition, where they are on the continuum of that particular illness, what the resources are in the community, what type of placements are appropriate, what treatment is appropriate, how to support the caregivers, how to support the family. Outcomes for that person are going to vary greatly based on how much supportive services there are. And as I said, talking about that wilderness trail, if you've got a guide on that wilderness trail, that's what your case manager is. Somebody who's been on that trail before. Somebody knows where the springs are and the places to stop in the shade and to take care of you so you can make it all the way through that journey. That's what a case manager can do.
I'm sure that's a very critical part of the process. Again, it's one of those things, if you've never done it before and it's extremely complicated and there's so many layers to go through, on top of the issue that you're dealing with your health, it can become overwhelming. So it's nice for people to have those lifelines like case managers. This is Mr. Philip Linsley, founder of San Diego Elder Law Center. You can find them online at sandiegoelderlaw.com. You can give them a call at 619-235-4357. They're located in downtown San Diego. I'm your host, Elizabeth Story, bringing you the Inside Story. Stick around when we come back. We're going to talk more about elder care and planning and make you informed and empowered.